Now we want to look at the inverse trig functions. So we use the inverse trig function when we know the ratio of the sides of the triangle, but we don't know the angle. So maybe we knew from a triangle that the ratio of the opposite to the hypotenuse was 0.454. And so you could think of that as a triangle with sides 0.454 on the opposite and 1 for the hypotenuse. And that angle A, we don't know the measure of that angle. Well, what we can do is we can use the inverse sine function. And so you'll get that by hitting second and then the sine button. And so you'll see above your sine key, it should have SIN with a -1 for inverse sine. So when you type that in, what you'll put in is what that sine ratio is. So here we know the ratio is 0.454. And when we type in the inverse into our calculator, we get 27 degrees. Now, if we had something like where we had cotangent, remember we don't have a cotangent button on our calculator. So the first thing you have to do is get the reciprocal. And it won't be a fraction, so the easiest thing to do is just to do 1 over 0.105. And now to find your inverse here, A is going to equal the inverse tangent of this reciprocal. So we do inverse tangent, 1 divided by 0.105, and we're looking at an 84-degree angle. So before you attempt your homework, if you want to do these practice problems, there's 10 of them, just to make sure that you're typing everything into your calculator correctly. Pause the video here, and when you come back, I'll have the answers for you. So here are the answers for the 10 practice problems, and if you weren't able to get these, if you want to just send me a message and I can help you figure out what you need to do for them. But the reason that we need to be able to do these trig functions, both evaluating for an angle and finding the angle that has a particular trig ratio value, would be looking at a problem like this, example 7. Maybe the surveyor needs to find the angle for this parcel of land. And so what we need to do is think about this angle and think about the two sides that we know. From this angle, we have the opposite and the adjacent side. So the trig function that relates opposite to adjacent is tangent. So the first thing you do is you set up the ratio tangent of this unknown angle equals 62.10 divided by 136.4. Now to solve this, we have to use our inverse tangent because we know the tangent ratio is 62.10 divided by 136.4, but we don't know the angle. So the angle would be found by finding the inverse using this ratio. So you would simply type this into your calculator. Inverse tangent, 62.1 divided by 136.4, and we see that this angle is approximately 24.5 degrees.